You really need it?
Oh, whoever's up there.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Rob Rizzo.
Can you hear that?
Everyone set? We are here at.
I think I'm good.
We are here. You okay?
Hear that? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Do you hear me now? Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yours looks pretty good. Yours matches. I got a little bit of white on it.
Okay.
No. You ever watch The Simpsons? Years ago. You remember the scientist?
The googly guy. It's always talking like that.
That's him.
He's got that same voice. Oh, string.
Oh, yeah. Are you on? No, I forgot.
What time do you guys do there?
How are you? What's your name? Is it what? Yes, I had called because I needed help, and they laid a staff in the office. 24 hours. I was doing a story on he got hit by a car. I think you all know the story. It was over at maybe he was walking down.
And it's already been said.
Yeah,
No matter where.
he was down in the, it's been the last 6 months. Daily event. So you all come. What is the best number? Your is he listening?
So you got to drive.
What is your look for a 0. You are with daily rates. And that you're out of the Elizabeth City, right? Yeah, but this was like in Hertford. And this was in Hertford.
I got the VO.
It was
Oh, I saw where you were. Yeah, no, I get it. No, I get it. And that's, I'm just saying, if you have a couple more shots, drop something like just say, extra shots.
before you were born, 1980.
Otherwise, how many couple?
That was a shots. Hey, she's a WITN. They put the WITN.
There is a statue of Andy there.
They put the WITN in Eyewitness. You know the Eyewitness News in WITN.
Yeah.
Who?
Are we live?
Alan Covey. Is that right? Well, you all moved to Greenville. We were over at Chocowinity. What did they do with that building? So Robertson, Mr. Robertson.
They're thinking about
How you like the new building? It's probably the only building you've been in.
Yeah, it's only been, but I've heard they were in the old one, but
Yeah, it was a real old one.
yeah, they're trying to make some changes now.
WNC, are they?
I don't see that.
Where are you on number 1? Yeah, we brought Michael Crabtree. I was down in Jacksonville.
You're good.
Yes.
Bill Wilson is actually that him talking against his own.
Ellie K.
Bill Wilson, our assistant.
Should I not talk?
Here?
No, he was exactly. I guess he's part of that.
Yeah, but I started, I loved working WITN. It was really great.
Yeah.
I walked in there, the news director that we had the bombing of Beirut. Are you concentrating? They had just bombed the barracks in Beirut, Lebanon, and they were all Camp Lejeune Marines. So Bob Perry and Joe Corcoran went over, and the sentry guy was telling them to stop, and then they got shot. Joe Corcoran, the anchor, got shot, and that was on the news. And I was watching it. I said, Mom, I was up in Fairfax. I said, look at this story. I'm going to call him and see if he'll. It was a new trip. The news director and the anchor got shot. And that's like getting the thumbs up. He said, now, I know you're talking about all this. I was a producer.
Yeah, I started with this.
But the producer then.
Say it like that.
I know there's two words today.
I say no pitch.
What she got?
And they had.
Both are right.
We're both right. Even
But
when
if
they
you're,
say no.
there's no ever
Yeah.
say no. Yeah, if you're Italian, you say no.
And that's.
That's okay, because my wife always says personality.
I started as communications, then I was a media editor. Then I was a. Because all this stuff was happening in
Oh, it's a hike.
And your name?
Morning, everybody. Just wanted to tell you how it's going to work this morning and just set a couple of expectations. You're going to hear from Sheriff Tommy Wooten from Pasquotank County. We're going to hear from him first. And then we're going to hear from Chief James Avens, Jr. He's the interim police chief of Elizabeth City. Law enforcement from both of those jurisdictions responded to that call for assistance this morning, and we're involved in the process of securing that situation.
Can you spell interim chief's name?
Sure, it's James Avens, A-V-E-N-S, Jr.,
And he's interim chief?
interim chief of Elizabeth City Police. And Tommy, T-O-M-M-Y, Wooten, W-O-O-T-E-N, is the sheriff of Pasquotank County. And then you're going to hear from Teresa Watkins, T-E-R-E-S-A, Watson. Did I say Watkins? It's Watson, W-A-T-S-O-N. She is president of Centera Albemarle Medical Center. Not Centera Albemarle Hospital. It's Centera Albemarle Medical Center. Okay. Sheriff, do you want to? Sheriff's going to have an initial statement here and kind of describe what happened, and then we'll kind of. Probably most of your questions are going to be in the realm of investigative, and he won't be able to say much. Some of what you're going to ask Teresa is going to be in the realm of HIPAA, which is very strict, and so even following the grave. And so there's probably very little we'll be able to say, but we'll do what we can to share some information about this story this morning. Thank you. Sorry. I think I remember.
All right. Everybody still good? Thank you, sir. So I'm Sheriff Tommy Wooten, Sheriff of Pasquotank County. It's good to see you all again, not under any circumstances, but glad to see you. So the first thing I'd like to do is give all the thanks I can give to God for His grace and protection in this incident that we had this morning. I'd also like to send my sincere condolences to the family of the suspect. While it was great that no officer or deputy or hospital staff was injured, loss of life is never something that we want or that we look to happen in law enforcement. Now, special thanks to the amazing job this morning, protecting and serving. Thank you to the Elizabeth City Police Department with their officers that did just the same. Thank you to the assistants from the SBI to handle the scene and the investigation for it. Hospital staff and security for their courage and bravery during this incident. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a special thanks to dispatch, the ones who work tirelessly behind the scenes to dispatch the calls and try to give us as much information as they can. very briefly, some of y'all may have already read the brief press release that we give. I'm going to go through it again for you just so you have it on camera. So on Tuesday, April 8th, at approximately 1:13 a.m., Central Communications received a call from Centera Albemarle Medical Center that a male subject had entered the emergency room armed with a handgun. Central Communications dispatched law enforcement to the scene at 1:14 a.m. Law enforcement from the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office, officers from the Elizabeth City Police Department arrived on scene at 1:18 a.m. That's approximately 3 minutes and 26 seconds response time, which I'm very proud of from all agencies. They made their way into the ER waiting room at that time once they arrived on scene, of course. Law enforcement found a male subject in the ER triage room armed with a handgun. The suspect pointed the handgun at law enforcement. The suspect was struck with gunfire from law enforcement and was able to receive immediate medical care by ER staff. The suspect was pronounced deceased at the scene by medical personnel. Initial information from the scene indicates that the suspect entered the ER and pointed the handgun at multiple ER personnel. A security guard with Centera attempted to subdue the suspect before law enforcement arrived. The security guard received injuries when assaulted by the suspect. Injuries to the security guard occurred when the suspect hit the security guard with his handgun, striking him in the head. The security guard also received treatment at the ER. 3 of your Pasquotank County Sheriff's deputies are the ones that fired at the suspect. No members of law enforcement received injuries. These 3 deputies are currently on administrative leave with pay pending the investigation from the SBI. The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, like I said, they are conducting the investigation of this incident. Just to reiterate what Mr. Dale said, this is an ongoing investigation. As you all know, any type of questions or anything that's related to the investigation or anything that can be given out is going to be very little at this point until we get further down the road. Now, when we get further down the road, then we can cross that bridge when it gets here. So that's all I have right now. I think we're going to let everybody go first and then possibly some light questions. Thank you so much. Chief Avens.
Thank you, Sheriff. James Avens, Interim Chief of Police for Elizabeth City Police Department. I just want to ask that you keep everyone involved in your thoughts and prayers, because this is truly an unfortunate incident that took place today. From the family of the suspect, to the hospital staff, to all the officers that responded. We will continue to work together in efforts to provide safety for our community. Thank you.
Good morning. This is not how I usually start my days, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm also very thankful. I'm Teresa Watson. I'm the president of Centera Albemarle Medical Center. And I'm very thankful for the sheriff, deputies, and the Elizabeth City Police Department in their courageous efforts to keep our community safe. I'll tell you, when I got the call about 1:18 this morning and came into the hospital, I was met with an overwhelming sense of calmness in a very difficult situation from our emergency department staff. I also want to share with you that we are a safe place to give and receive care, and I'd like to say that this incident is unusual in our community and in our nation, but it's not. This is just one of many unfortunate shootings that take place. And as a hospital, we really struggle to provide a welcoming, calm environment, but at the same time, we have implemented processes like the visitor badging system to keep our patients and visitors safe when they're on campus. When an unfortunate circumstance happens such as this, it's important that you have that relationship with the community partners, as we do with the sheriff and the police department, to respond very quickly in a united front. And I think that's what we saw here today. I have seen the footage. It raises the hair on my arms to see how someone can quickly enter into your facility. And if it wasn't for the actions of our heroic security officer leading the potential gunman, he did not come in with a gun in his hand. He produced that afterwards, leading them away from the clinical staff and other visitors. It could have been a much worse outcome. The response time was nothing short of heroic. It could have looked very differently. It's very unfortunate that it ended up the way that it did, but I am grateful and thankful that we have the police and sheriff presence here to make sure that didn't turn out to be worse than it actually did. So we are very appreciative of media being here to be able to share this. Any questions that I can take or that the team can take?
Ms. Watson, since you're up there, was your security guard armed? And I know that it's a policy in North Carolina that in emergency rooms you should have an armed security person there for these exact reasons. Can you tell me about that?
Great question. So you've heard of unfunded mandates? Well, that's one that was unfunded. So just because there's legislation that's passed to say you have to have those resources, then you've got to work with the community. And we're currently and have been in discussions since fall of last year to be able to provide that level of security. Centera is very committed to SAFE, so that visitor badging system is one effort. We are delivered our weapons system that will be in place at the new hospital. Quite honestly, it probably will be escalated to be here. You know, we're moving into a new location in August. So we continue that discussion with law enforcement in this community to be able to provide the armed services. We've added additional security officers. So your question was he armed? No. Will there be armed officers on the campus in the future? Yes.
Why was he not armed in this case? Keeping in mind the unfunded mandate, I appreciate that,
Yeah,
but
well,
he could have been armed.
No, right. Actually, you've got to go through training and actually a program to be able to have armed officers on your campus. So we can't just decide who's going to carry a firearm or not. This would also include taser weapons that will be coming in the future as well.
And as a follow-up to that, what are you doing in the meantime to arm someone so this does, to have protection inside the emergency room for your medical customers?
That's right. Well, I'll tell you that it's not as quick as a simple fix. This happened at 1:18 this morning. We have already been in communication. The weapons detection system will identify anyone coming into the emergency department with a weapon, and that will be escalated to have that, we're hopeful, within 2 weeks on campus here. We will continue to work with law enforcement to develop a program, escalated program. In fact, we just met with the police chief yesterday. So this was very timely about how we can continue to have the level of support from an armed officer.
What can we be told about the suspect? Who did this?
I am not at liberty to share that. I'm going to ask law enforcement to talk about the suspect if you're comfortable.
Before you do, just a quick question.
Sure.
How is your staff doing with all of this? I know that nobody got hurt, thank God for that, but I mean, is there going to be any resources provided to them? I mean, I bet today was a trying day.
Absolutely. We have already been in contact with our emergency resources. They will be on site for the team members, especially in the emergency department. We have a charge nurse in the ED that was in the room with the suspect trying to de-escalate them when law enforcement arrived. She is fortunately of sound body, but that's going to take a toll. If you've ever worked with emergency personnel, you know that that's how they're geared to treat in the midst of chaos and move to the next person, because everybody has an emergency, right? I think within 48 to 72 hours, when they start to realize the impact, those resources are going to be made available to continue to support them throughout this event. Our security officer is undergoing surgery as we speak. I was able to make contact with him. His family is in New York, a former Navy veteran and police officer in New York City. And he comes to Elizabeth City and experiences this, but his wife was not able to be here, obviously, since this just transpired. So the chief nurse, the medical officer, chief medical officer, and myself was able to see him going into surgery to let him know he was a true hero in this story. It could have been very different, but there will be emotional and physical support for our team members.
Now, I know that you have not named this person so far. Are you planning on releasing the security officer's name and celebrating this hero? And also, how long has he been with your organization?
A very short period of time, so about a month. So the release him, and he will site. We were able to, this all happened, transpired, as you heard the sheriff say, in a very short period of time. So they were able to isolate the individual of the emergency department. Fortunately, there wasn't any visitors in the waiting area or very many patients. Suspect able to law enforcement came in and they were able to address the concern very timely. So ED did not shut down. We did not go on to it is that potentially speak to. That area got roped off and we rerouted the visitors or patients to the front entrance of the hospital where we had they were able to hindered.
Ms. Watson, we will make the request, and I'll speak for everyone here, we'd like to see the but I have a feeling we aren't going to see that today. I hope we would. Can you please, and we're going to depend on you, to tell us in detail what you saw in that surveillance video from what you saw. Can you please tell us that?
I'm hesitant to do investigation, so sorry I can't give you. This will be a follow-up story for you. I'm certain of that, but we want to respect the privacy of the investigation. So, Sheriff.
Teresa, before you go,
yes.
can I ask you just a question about the North Carolina Violence Prevention Act? You said unfunded mandate. Can you kind of explain what that means?
Sorry, that's administrator speak. For what it says is it's a great idea, but they don't always give you the resources to implement that. And in a small area, and I know you covered the Outer Banks, so you know what it's like in the smaller communities, resources that the sheriff and the police chief have, sometimes a finite population, it takes a little time to grow those certified police officers. So we have to start from the ground, and in the meantime, what do you do? Well, I can't take them off the street to have them come stay in the emergency department and vice versa. So that's why it's important to have a community partnership such as we've demonstrated here.
Teresa, and can you tell us a little bit about the area that the suspect was entered and how is that normally staffed? If you can kind of describe that area.
And
Well,
can you do that in front of the microphone?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
I could not see the gentleman, so I had to make eye contact. So the area that the suspect had entered was in through the emergency room doors, the front entrance of the hospital in the waiting area. He quickly gained access to interior hallways because, as you would expect at night, there's not as many people, so he was able to move through where he quickly got apprehended by our own security officer. And then he was really limited to just that lobby area right off of the main waiting area, did not get into the back of the ED. So he was really contained. And once you'll be able to see footage, you'll understand better that it was right adjacent to the main lobby.
And Teresa, I know you had a chance to see the video. You described it, making the hairs on your arms stand up. Can you just talk to or speak to just what personnel were up against, what patients possibly describing what? I know you can't get too deep, but anything that could help.
So I'm going to ask Nicole Dickinson to come forward. She is our emergency management and emergency director. She was first on the ground to speak with our team. By the time I got here, she was already in place. Nicole.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question?
She had described seeing the surveillance video and making the hair on her arms stand up.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to kind of relay. We haven't seen that video. Just what personnel were up against when all of this was going on.
So what personnel we're up against from a nursing perspective is what we in the emergency department are here to do every day. We're here to provide care to our patients. So this was a patient in need, and our nurse was relying on her training and her expertise in emergency services to interact with the patient in the way